minutes. 10 more minutes.
Hey, 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
Hang tight and they'll be with you soon.
Dude, the chief spot a car fire tonight. I'm not giving you credit for it though. I put it out.
1 more minute.
Yeah, extinguisher?
Yeah, they had it out before I got
We
there.
were at a stop in the corner booth having dinner with
Valparaiso.
I'm sorry, El Rizzo. In the corner, and somebody in the booth walks over, and I thought because the sun was coming in through the window, and so we were kind of all getting blinded a little bit. I thought he was coming over to say, "Hey, would you mind pulling that shade down?" He's like, comes over and leans over the table. You know, there's a car on fire in the parking lot. We turn around and fire coming out of a wheel well, parked over by the ice cream shop. So we all grabbed extinguishers.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, that ain't a car fire. Yeah. So anyways, would you put us down for
No.
fire?
I asked
fire?
you all, I said,
Live
who's writing the
fire.
report? They said,
Live
you're
fire.
writing the report.
They're
I
good
said,
for 3 years.
and he's not even gonna be on. They didn't even put their PPE on. I'm writing them up.
You guys have field board, right?
Huh?
Once you got a PIA, you're good.
Oh, we did it from a table. But,
Over a bowl of guacamole.
yeah.
Incident command.
We actually, this is no joke. We walked in and the 4 tables on that end gave us a standing ovation.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you a truck?
What?
Are you a truck?
I showed up and they crawled out.
Actually, we were on the parking lot going,
I know.
what kind of turnout time is this? Where are they?
Yeah, they were in the hospital. One was at Children's and one was in Providence.
I was talking about you.
I wasn't even dispatched. I jumped it.
Oh, you
against your
Hammers and Hikeys in here.
moving it up.
Can't wait for you to come back, Chief.
I need you to be ready.
Hey Pat, I'm here.
2 more minutes.
Oh, yeah, well, you're paid to be here. I mean, I don't want to discount it with, because you're a dedicated guy.
They never do.
All the time. 5
I've got to get the
You
camera back
told me
on.
that about all my times too.
Lost by one.
Get the camera back.
Listen,
They
5
won?
minutes here,
Lost
5
by
minutes
one.
Oh,
there.
lost by
Lost by
1. Okay.
Lost by fight.
Lost by one.
Lost by 1.
20 to 21. That's a good baseball game.
Yeah.
That's
Good. Commissioner Merritt, when everybody gets back in, I'll give you the high sign, we'll start it again.
Okay.
What was that, the little rascals, the high sign? Give me the high sign.
How's the score?
Lost by one.
What?
Good game.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Sorry
They're,
you're here.
they're 6
Yeah,
years
you didn't
old.
want to see that.
They're 6 years old. I mean.
Yeah.
It's gonna remember that forever.
how many meals can you not let them have if they lose a game?
Depends on their stats for the
Yeah.
game. Depends.
She treats it like an individual sport when it
Yeah.
comes to that.
You did strike out, and that's why you're sleeping outside.
Yeah. That's the spirit.
Guess you'll learn not to swing at that pitch next time.
Alrighty, we're good to exit executive session? Are you recording? Alright, we'll adjourn the executive session with no action taken at 21:10 and re-adjourn the general meeting. Moving on to appeals, policy, and resolution.
And so this, with the purchase of property, as a government agency, like we talked about, we have to relocate. Part of that is having an appeals process. So our lawyer drafted the resolution and the policy to go with it.
Any questions, concerns about the appeal policy or resolution?
No, are we sort of okaying that it after the, if there is an appeal, it comes back to the board? Is that the idea?
So the policy will set up that process. And so, yeah, at the very, I think if I remember right, they appeal to me, and then if I say no, then they can come to you to the board to appeal. Kind of like the transport waivers.
Alright, do you have a motion?
I will make a motion to adopt. Yeah, we're on J. To adopt resolution 558 and policy 130 as presented.
Alright, all in favor of that motion? Aye. Alright, resolution in support of purchase agreement.
As part of the purchase agreement, we had told the owners that there was a potential for eminent domain, because that was an option that we would have looked at if we didn't come up with an agreement. We didn't come up with an agreement, but we want to show that because that's part of how we're going to move through the agreement is through the threat of eminent domain, which changes the taxing and other structures of the agreement. So you have to adopt a resolution saying you would have used eminent domain. You might have used eminent domain if needed.
Does that, if there's some issues that come up, we could still use that?
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and this won't change that.
Well, I'll move that we adopt resolution 557 as presented here.
All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Motion passed. Historic insurance recovery contract.
Yeah, so part of as we purchase property, if there's any contamination or anything on it, they can go back and look at insurance policies. This is a contingency-based contract, and so if we need them, we can use them. If we do need them and they find something, they only take a % of what they find funding-wise. And you would just be approving me to sign the contract as presented to you if and when we need it.
So we see the contract at a later meeting. Yeah, so that's what we'll do.
Oh, no, and then if you have the contract in front of you, so if you authorize that, would sign it whenever it is appropriate,
Okay.
even if it's time conflict, so that we can do it at the needed time.
There's no expiration date on that?
No,
Okay, there's no time limit attached or?
to me or the contract. No.
No, for the contract.
No, so if we started, they do their research, and so if they don't find it, once they're done, if they don't find anything, we don't pay them anything. If they find something and we need it, whatever we use of that, they get their 10%.
Is this just for what we're working on now, or is it?
Correct, this would,
later, or
this
is
would
it-
only be for the Pine Avenue property. If we, I don't know how we would, but if we needed something similar to one of our other properties, we'd have to amend the contract and do a new contract.
Okay. Well, I'll move that we adopt this, what is it, a purchase agreement or
Service contract.
service contract with, historic, is that it? No, restorative research?
Yep.
All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
All right, chief's reports.
I'll start off, guys got any questions of what information was provided? We had a handful of fires from the last commissioner meeting, noted in there. I wanted to, I think we already touched on it earlier about the members participated in the rope class, we had 11 complete that. I wanted to point out for our members that are interested in being on the county tech team, in order to be full-fledged members, they have to get some other disciplines, confined space, trench rescue, are the other two classes that they are mandatory to be on the county team. We are exploring some different opportunities for us to host similar as we did for the rope class, to try to get more members through. It's much easier for us to facilitate logistically wise to host it if possible. With that, we are looking at opportunities to add some props down there that would support that kind of training. So we've already been up, Chief Heike took a field trip up to Cuz Concrete, and we're kind of pricing out and looking at options for putting in a confined space type prop on the ROV training site. So that's something we're working on. We don't have any cost estimates as of yet. There is some material up there they'd be willing to donate to us if it works. But if we had to have something specifically made to fit, then there would be some cost associated with that. Neil Bromley is working, MSO Bromley is working on hosting a conference in September, bringing in some pretty good speakers for some of the medics to get their CE. I'd like to thank Aaron is here tonight, Aaron and Jason Leedy, I believe Fletcher Collins. Who am I missing, Aaron?
Jose, it's awesome.
Jose and Anthony spent the last week and a half up at Glacier Peak teaching CPR and first aid. So we've got quite a few students through, so we're continuing that. And just a reminder, part of the agreement we have with our school district is we're providing CPR at Snohomish High School and Glacier Peak. In return for that service, we get use of the pack, and we also, our swim team gets free use of the pool. So it's kind of a mutual beneficial agreement that we got, that it doesn't cost the district to send our swim team down there to train. Since the last meeting, this kind of came up quickly, so this is a late add to the ops report. On May 31st, the county opened a grant opportunity for departments in the county to request funding for site improvements to the training sites. And it closed today. So the last couple of weeks, I've been working with Mrs. Heike and Chief Waller, like all of us, scrambling to put together a grant application. So we did submit yesterday. So we will know sometime in July. They didn't give an exact date, but Snohomish County Council is going to look at all the applications. We believe there's 8 other applicants, and we have no idea how much ARPA money they have to hand out, but we're hoping that we will be able to get some funding to replace our burn structure, which we've been talking about for 4 or 5 years. Staffing wise, we had a couple more part-timers officially move on to full-time careers. Stephen Osborne left for South Woodby, and Nick Garza and David Garcia left for North County Regional. And the last thing I'll say on the staffing is that we're interviewing next week part-time candidates. And if all goes well, if we have qualified candidates and the World Board panel recommends them, we could take up to 4 of those for the next academy. Any questions?
Okay. Any questions about anything that was written for safety and sport? Okay, a couple quick things to add.
I
Oh, yes, sir.
wanted to follow up from, in the minutes, it mentioned that you were working on something with the chaplains. Are you going to
Yes.
report on that?
I have a couple of things to talk about the chaplain, but that report specifically, no, not at this time.
Okay.
But it will be forthcoming.
Okay.
He's got most of the information, he's got to tidy up this thing, and then we're gonna schedule a meeting with you first.
Okay, so specifically with the chaplains, last week we had a tough call at Fire District 4 for our firefighters and our law enforcement. And the call ended up requiring 2 chaplains. They were both needed because of the makeup of the call and everything that went on for the people involved in the call as well as the responders. I'm happy to say that our first chaplain went to the scene, recognized that, was able to call another chaplain, and they were able to go to the scene and work together with a couple of different groups and mitigate that situation to the best of their abilities. And having to be able to respond to that call was huge. That goes to Chaplain Jeff and the crew that we have assembled as part of our chaplain group. So that was fantastic. Thank you and thank them. And that's ongoing, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Real quick, pub ed event. I want to thank BC Heike, Christine Heike, and Chaplain Jeff once again. We were at an elementary school last week for a pub ed event. They requested a couple of things. Help with getting bicycle helmets. They were able to do that. Chaplain Jeff was able to grab our Support 43 rig and go in a support officer role to assist them. And then, was it Chelsea that went with our, they had requested specifically a Spanish speaker as well. And we have some of those now in the department, which is awesome, that are bilingual. And Chelsea Ruggiero Deal, one of our newer firefighter paramedics, who is fluent in Spanish, was able to go and assist with that event, which was really neat. And finally, we had our second annual Battle of the Badges food drive for the Snohomish Community Food Bank. Snohomish Fire District 4 versus Snohomish Police Department. Chief Waller is once again the winning chief, like he will be every year. But we doubled the weight in food that the police department had, that we were able to take over and get weight at the food bank. So bragging rights to Chief Waller again. And together, both groups were able to raise over $1,500 in cash and turn that over. And the food bank administrator Elizabeth said she can stretch those dollars to make it a lot more than $1,500. That being said, I want to publicly thank Hagen's Grocery Store, who let us have the front of their store for the food drive, and the Fred Meyer's Grocery Store, who helped us stuff my truck full of food before the food bank, or the food event started, so we could already go and have at least double the weight of law enforcement. But congratulations, Chief. We had a great turnout. It was a heck of a lot of fun, and it was for a great cause for the food bank that this community donated for us and made us look good.
Can I add to that?
Okay, go ahead. You may.
That one of our members went to Fred Meyer as well and purchased diapers because that was a high priority need.
Yes.
And then asked Fred Meyer how they could help. They matched. So we ended up with 16 cases of diapers. So it's community support is amazing.
Absolutely, thank you.
I also want to give the cops our secrets public.
So don't write that down.
Well, recorded now.
And with that, we've got a whole bunch of events coming up between now and the end of the year, all summer long. And we look forward to getting involved in all of them with our members, just representing the fire district and being out in our community. Thank you.
I think it was, over 1,000 pounds of food and over $1,500.
So, thank you.
Chris put a bunch of work into a grant an opportunity that came up with the state auditor's office for a records request software program, all kinds of things. And there's a lot of stuff that qualifies for that. So we'll see how we do. She did a great job to put that work in. We've had an increase in number of requests for records. And there's quite a bit that goes into that, make sure that we comply. We don't look like, well, we don't let people down as far as our obligation to provide those records and meet requests, respond to requests and that type of thing. So it's getting to be a bigger and bigger job. And that might help us if we get that before we have to come to you and ask for a budget, some kind of budget funding for a program or something like that. So I wanted to thank her for that. And then Sam has put hundreds and hundreds of hours into Springbrook. And we're going to start to see the benefits of that now. You're starting to see some of the reporting. This is where we've spent all this time developing and building and putting good information into it, setting it up. We're just now doing some fine tuning, as I think the chief mentioned, and then I'm going to spend a bunch of time really getting into how do we get the great data that we're putting in, how do we get it out in the various forms that we want to see it. But I just wanted to thank Sam for all of her dedication and time that she has spent doing that. That's it.
Any questions on my written report? I'll highlight a few things. Yeah, we sent our first, the Bolt Creek was a beta test, we're not gonna count that, so we sent our first mobilization out in couple decades, I should say. It's Brush 42 is in Benton County right now, with a crew of 3 on it. So that's a good step forward for us. We keep moving steps forward, and that's the next one we move the ball along, which I appreciate. We have the Dodge, like I said in my report, but it's at the repair shop because there's a transmission leak, so it'll be there about 3 weeks until they can get the part and fix it. So that's a little update. As I said, as you've just taken action on 3 items, we're still moving ahead with the property. The things that I want to touch on are the architects are getting far enough in the design process that we'll start to schedule meetings, probably just individually with you and the committee, so you can ask the committee questions, the committee can explain to you, but we don't have to do the full open public meetings. And then just touch on that we're new proud owners of a new lot that no one knew we owned for the last 50 years. So, everybody, the food bank, the city, the fire district, Chief Simmons, everybody that I've talked to thought that the state DOT owned the last lot off of Ferguson Park Road, or at Ferguson Park Road down Oak here. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, the city's like, we want to buy this. It doesn't make sense to have that, so they called the state and asked to buy it, and the state says, we don't own it. And the city said, we don't. We thought, who does own it? So the state looked into it, called them back the next day and said, you do. Then a week after that, we got a title report back, and in the title report, we found not only when the city owned it, but that through the ILAs that did the whole 50% here, we own 50% of it. So that in 2 week span, the city went from not owning it to only owning 50%. So we now own that. That's been one of the fun things that has been happening with all this stuff. Exactly. Other than that, the coffee with the chief, the virtuals are scheduled. We have another coffee with the chief. I forget what that's in the beginning of
June 22nd
and
and
what's the
July
other
12th.
well, July 12th. That's the one that's not in my report. We have one at the Lighthouse,
Legacy,
Vegas. No, what's the other one?
Looking Glass.
Looking Glass,
That's what
yeah.
Looking Glass on the 12th. So we're getting those. I've done about 4 community presentations and I have about 8 more plus those, the 2 coffees with the chiefs and the virtual. Everything's been very positive about the levy. So I won't say I'm feeling comfortable, but I'm not feeling anxious yet. Anything else for me? Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you guys are doing.
And you can see it keeps track of me.
Yeah. All right, commissioner comments.
I think the 2 of you and me got an email from the Washington Fire Commissioner Association about partaking in a survey on benefits, wages and benefits. Get that, I hope it's not just me.
I think they sent it out to all the contacts.
I think-
Jason, I
I think
believe,
he did.
did it for us.
That's what I was wondering if we, I know our name hadn't shown up that we did anything. I was wondering if that's something we should, first of all, do we have the manpower and the time to do that? That would be the first question. And I'm not sure if we did it in the past or how often we did it in the past.
We've been getting them for a while. Yeah, it's been hard for us to find the time.
I can tell you, I started it, and it's pretty long. I thought, oh, it's only 2 pages. I got through 2 pages, had something else come up, I closed it, and then came back to say, you cannot close it, it doesn't save anything. So then I said, nope, I'm not opening it back up. So.
I just wanted to bring that up.
We'll try to get to it the next week or two.
Yeah, and then I wanted to publicly thank Local 2694 for their letter to the editor in support of the lid lift. I don't know who's all here for that. Anyway,
We're all from local 2694.
Anyway, I just thought that was a nice letter, and thank you for that support of the lid lift.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
We're at 15.
And we will adjourn the meeting at 21:30.
That was Chris Jarvis that wrote the letter.
Does it say Chris Jarvis in it?
Yeah, you can see that?
Yeah, no,
I wanted to say Harold. The Linwood Times got him right, but the Herald screwed up his last name.